This is Author Conversations, the Stenhouse Publishers podcast featuring our authors, their work, and topics in education. In this podcast, recorded at the NCTE conference in Nashville, Jeff Anderson describes the classroom experiences that led to his book Mechanically Inclined, and tells us about his next book on using mentor texts to teach craft, mechanics, grammar, and editing skills.
Well, what happened was that I didn't feel that confident with grammar and mechanics when I started teaching, so I didn't use them. I used what Peter Elbow said, which was to write, and that worked really well to a point. But then I moved up to middle school, and the things that I wanted my kids to be able to do were not just emerging from the writer's workshop and what they were able to do. So I started to explore, what's out there, and I got it, teach grammar, mechanics, and context. However, I wasn't finding anything that actually told me how to, teach a compound sentence or to teach a complex sentence. It just kept saying, teach grammar, mechanics, and context. And so I started thinking about what that really meant and what I could do with my students in my classroom, and talking about brain research and seeing, patterns and visuals, and how could we move that all together so it wasn't this, rule-based thing that everybody, jumped away from like it was a hot stove. So that's really where the book idea came from, was developing something that kids could access, but over time I figured out that it wasn't only the children that wanted help with it, some of the adults did too. And so I had to make something accessible that wasn't shaming. I love Lynn Truss's book, Eat, Shoots, and Leaves, but, we didn't need another book that said, don't use commas like a stupid person. We needed something that was inviting, that would invite kids in, that would invite teachers into this process of grammar mechanics. So that was my goal when I wrote Mechanically Inclined. As I started writing and playing around with these ideas over several years in my classroom, that's what emerged out of it. What I've continued to look at is, and I hear this a lot from teachers, that we need to help kids edit. We need to help them edit, so we have to put up all these sentences with 10 errors in them and put the author in the author's electric chair and zap every single mistake that's there. And what I found is it sounds like the kids are getting what we want, except most of the time it's a 50-50 chance. It's either a comma or not. You either capitalize it or you don't. So I find the kids are basically in those kinds of exercises just, rolling the dice to see what comes up. I call that crapshoot grammar. And I don't think that's exactly what we want. We want kids to have a thinking process, stepping stones to go through so that they can make decisions about grammar mechanics to shape meaning. And one of the ways I really found in Mechanically Inclined and the book that I'm working on now is, how do you use mentor text? How do you use a beautiful text to teach those same skills in an approachable, inviting way, rather than, jumping on all the errors and teaching them again that that's all that matters about writing, is finding the errors and rooting them out. Well, what about making text beautiful? What about making text clear? What about all these different patterns that we can pull together that authors already do, and we can learn from them? But we also have authors in our classroom, and whenever they have successful examples or they find something in their book, it's about posting it up all over the room, kind of a gallery of, we've always had the gallery walks, but it's a gallery of beautiful writing all around with great examples for the kids to go up to and be scaffolded into better writing, rather than told what they're doing wrong so that they don't want to try anything new.
If you'd like to learn more about Jeff, check out his website, www.writeguy.net. Mechanically Inclined, Building Grammar, Usage, and Style into Writer's Workshop is available online at www.stenhouse.com and from your Stenhouse distributor. Thanks for listening.